should have known from the opening scene of this movie that when they showed us the story about how this guy got his mustache, that this movie had really nothing to offer me, or at least nothing else to offer me but that. But I ended up watching it. And if you're wondering why I'm wearing the same clothes from the Marry Me review, it's because I saw these two movies on the same day, so I did a double feature. So just gonna wear the same clothes. I'm not really gonna change. I saw this on the same day, so I'm just gonna do this and this if that's okay. I mean, it is okay. It's my video. Don't judge me. Fuck you. Hey guys, it's your guy in the chair here, and this is my review of Death on the Nile, the Kenneth Branagh directed movie. Also stars Kenneth Branagh, Gal Gadot, Armie Hammer, Russell Brand, and the cast of other characters that I really can't say I cared about at all. This movie suffers unbearably from the sequelitis. This really didn't need to happen, but here we are. So let's go ahead and review this thing. So Death on the Nile is a sequel to Murder on the Orient Express, and essentially we're just following, in this movie now, we're just following Kenneth Branagh, aka Hercule Poirot, who is one of the world's most famous detectives, and he's now found his way onto another case where somebody died, and now he has to find out who done it. And that's the premise of the movie. It's really the same concept, movie, dialogue, actors, except not the same actors. It's really the same movie, just a different setting. That's essentially what this is. It's not anything special, anything different, anything remotely trying to show that they're trying to make an effort in making a movie that's not just a carbon copy of Murder on the Orient Express, but they fail ever so much. They just made the same movie all over again. So essentially, if you know, honestly, you're better off watching Knives Out again. If I'm being completely honest with you, you're basically, look, there's not much to enjoy here from this movie. It's the same exact movie, just with worse acting, a more obvious plot. I got to be honest, because at least Murder on the Orient Express, especially with that ending, Murder on the Orient Express tried to be something on its own. I understand that this is following a whole Agatha Christie novel story, but I don't think this movie really tried to do anything to make itself a franchise, or at least continue. This movie was made with little to no effort at all, and the fact that it was directed by Kenneth Branagh actually hurts my heart, because I know he's actually a very talented worker, very talented director and actor in this business, and I was really hoping his name wasn't attached to this, but then I saw him. It was produced by Ridley Scott, so I honestly think these guys just got paid a lot of money to make a lot of crap. But they succeeded, so I hope they got what they wanted. So as far as what I liked about this movie, the only thing I necessarily liked about this movie was Kenneth Branagh as Hercule Poirot. I mean, when he's doing his detective thing, when he's trying to solve the case, and he's trying to dissect clues and things like that. The movie is fun for a second, I guess. I mean, like I said, his character is really just being suffocated by this dumb plot, these dumb side characters, just it's literally a carbon copy and paste. Like, it's just set in it's literally Murder on the Orient Express that's not on a train or on a boat, or instead of being in the cold, we're in the sun. I mean, it's not really anything different from the movie. And honestly, what's crazy is I felt like they gave more of an effort to the first movie, because they actually put together an ensemble cast of characters that we actually know who these actors are. Now, granted, I'm not trying to disrespect anybody on this particular cast. I just didn't know who most of these actors were, and you could tell there was an obvious lack of trying here from the two casts. I mean, you had Daisy Ridley, Johnny Depp in the first movie, and now we're going to, I'm not going to say Letitia Wright, because she's definitely on the up and up. So hopefully if Black Panther 2 works out, which I definitely think it will, she's on the up and up. But I mean, you got Russell Brand in this movie, and I'm literally watching this and I'm like, yo, I haven't seen Russell Brand in a movie in forever. And I'm not 100% sure if that was due to some controversy he had back in the day. I think he had some problems with drugs and stuff like that. I think that's what the story was following Get Him to the Greek. But I haven't seen Russell Brand in a movie forever, and honestly, that should have been a big red flag from the jump, because I'm just like, bro, like nobody casts Russell Brand anymore. So I don't understand, if we was serious about making a sequel about this, then I don't understand why we put Russell Brand in it. I was just watching that, and I'm just like, Yeah, you guys aren't really trying to make this a movie at all, and I know I'm supposed to be talking about what I liked in this movie, but like I said, it was just Kenneth Branagh. Other than that, and I can't even say other than that, he just the rest of the movie is just suffocating him. Like it's not really trying to be anything different. It's literally just him doing the same thing he did from the first movie. And I can honestly explain my frustrations with his character as well, and I'm going to do that now by just moving to the bad. So the main problem that I have with this movie is the fact that it's a sequel. And honestly, what that means is just like it suffers from being a sequel. That you can just tell that this movie is just not needed. When it comes to sequels, a lot of things that people worry about is, you know, they're wondering if they can capture that same magic that the first movie had, or essentially if they can build off of it. And that's honestly a thing that sequels really have an issue with. You know, they don't necessarily try to do any. I'm not going to say that for all movies, but in the sense of this, and I can't really think of any other examples where sequels, you know, really didn't try other than the Dumb and Dumber sequels. They really don't try to make anything different here. The problem is this movie is a complete copy and paste of the first one, just with it went from I want to say a B plus tier ensemble cast to maybe a C minus, a C plus C minus ensemble cast here. And they just make it so much more dramatic than the first movie. Like I was just wondering, you know, everybody in the movie has such a dramatic accent, and granted, it's based in like the 1830s or something like that. So I mean, maybe that was, you know, the thing back in the day, but I just don't understand why everybody had to be so intense with their accent. I feel like at some points in the I feel like at some point in the movie, like people just started to make up, you know, how they wanted their accent to sound. Because no, at some point, you know, Russell Brand and one of the cousins, I don't really know his name or the actor's name, but one of the cousins in the movie, their accents didn't start adding up at some point. So I think people just started to try stuff and they just didn't think we'd notice, but I noticed. I definitely noticed it didn't really add up. It didn't really sound the same. But other than that, this movie is just, it's a copy and paste. Like I'm probably gonna say that a bunch of times. I'm probably gonna repeat myself with that just because that's what it is. The movie is literally repeating the same steps as the last movie, and that brings me into my next point. This movie just drags on. It's like in the first 45 minutes of the movie, which is kind of setting up the whole thing, which honestly, I gotta be okay. Well, let me go one step at a time. So the movie drags, of course, and that's due to the fact that it takes at least 45 minutes for somebody to die. I think like the setup isn't even really an intense thing, and I got to be honest, the way they're shooting this movie, it's kind of like, you know, they're playing it in a style of Clue, where they're like the camera angles are literally shooting it like, okay, this is this character, this is what this character is going to do, this is who this person is playing into the movie, and you're kind of like, I think I can guess where this is gonna go from here, but I think I'm just gonna sit here and enjoy it. But no, you can definitely tell they literally give away what's going on, and it's pretty obvious. I definitely guessed the killer pretty early in the movie, so I mean, I'm not gonna say I was proud of myself because it was honestly it was pretty easy. It wasn't really hard, but like I said, this movie just drags on. It takes forever to get to the person killed, and in the first 45 minutes, we're literally watching just nothing. I gotta be honest. Like it's a setup, and it's, you know, introducing you to this cast of characters and, you know, motives and things like that. But it's just like it is a point where it's like anybody could have killed this person because they're just terrible. And it's like, you know, that's who Johnny Depp was in Murder on the Orient Express. But they did it with a little bit more, I don't know, just a little bit more mystery to it, or like it was more interesting to see that, you know, narrative play out. This one, I wasn't really interested in the narrative at all. I'm just like, bruh, can we just reveal who the killer is? And then that takes me to another point with Kenneth Branagh's character, not director, but Hercule Poirot, bro. He does this monologue towards the end where, you know, he's revealing the killer, and he's talking about literally how he loves to have an audience with this, and I'm just like, well, unfortunately, man, this isn't one of those times because you've already taken forever to make any of this interesting. And I got to be honest, when they try to add twist into the movie to make you feel like, you know, you're being entertained or something exciting's happening, you've already checked out of this movie. Like it's not like by the time they try to make a twist or have something like there was a pretty decent twist in the movie, I will admit, but I mean, I kind of like it was an on and off thing. It was like, oh snap, that happened. But then I was like, oh, there's like 30 minutes left in this. Oh, wonderful. Okay, whatever. It's like I checked out. I'm not really interested in what I'm watching, and the movie just suffers from an entire atmosphere of just being lazy. Like it's just, I feel like it's just lazy writing. It's lazy set work. It's just lazy dialogue. It's not. It wasn't as interesting as the first movie. Like I said, that the ending of, I'm going to talk about the ending of Murder to the Orient Express a little bit, and how, you know, when it was time to reveal who the killer was, he had all of them, all the cast just lined up, you know, sitting at tables. They were all outside due to the snowstorm or whatever. But you know, they made it to where everybody had a piece in the killing, and it actually broke him, and it actually had something to do with his character. I mean, essentially sequels are supposed to build on that. You know, I felt like his character went through so much more in the first movie, because he had to he is a guy who essentially wants to bring justice to his cases. He wants to be able to bring the killer to justice, but he couldn't last movie because it was everybody, and everybody honestly had a fair reason to do it. And in this movie, they don't make it as if they wanted to build on top of that. This, like, it was obvious that everything that was intense, everything that was better, everything that was essentially more valuable to making him Poirot an actual character was in the last movie. This one, he's just following the same steps again. Like, there's no, it's not a more intense case. It's honestly pretty easy to figure out. So, like, overall, I'm gonna say this movie is not very good at all. Like I said, Kenneth Branagh is very entertaining as Hercule Poirot, but even he starts to get a little suffocating at times, because like I said, when he's not doing the detective stuff, he's not really doing anything. When he's not trying to solve the case or put stuff together, he's not really doing anything. You know, this ensemble cast is not very entertaining at all. There's not much personality to them. You know, it's like, you don't want to compare, you know, this cast to Knives Out, but I mean, you know, there's not much to compare it to, other than, I mean, there is other murder mystery movies to compare it to. I could compare it to Adam Sandler's Murder Mystery, who at least they had, at least they had characters that made you laugh, even if it was the most outrageously wacky characters you've ever seen in your life. At least, you know, they had characters that actually, you know, made you interested in something. You know, these characters are basically all carbon copies of each other, except Letitia Wright and her aunt. They were tried to be different, I guess, but I mean, overall, guys, this movie really just isn't very interesting. It's pretty easy to figure out. One thing about murder mysteries that I love the sense of it being a mystery where you don't know who the killer is and you're trying to find out as they go along. But I figured it out pretty early, and I was more and more certain as the movie going on. I was like, yeah, it's him. It's this guy. It's this guy. But I can't go too deep into that just because, you know, I don't want to give spoilers and reveal a killer. But it's this guy. You know, it's this guy. And it was pretty easy. It was pretty easy to figure out. You know, it's not anything difficult. So it really doesn't offer anything else. You know, it's a very copy and paste sequel. It's not very interesting. It doesn't try to build on into anything. It doesn't try to, honestly, it's less intense. It's less action. It's less interesting than the sequel. I mean, not the sequel, than, you know, the original, than the Murder on the Orient Express movie. You're better off just watching that movie again. I gotta be honest with you. There's really nothing new to offer in this movie except Kenneth Branagh is just doing this all over again. That's really just it here. So for my rating, guys, I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5 stars. Like I said, this isn't really anything special. It's a complete copy and paste from Murder on the Orient Express. You're better off just watching that movie again. It's not really anything different. It's not really new. That's a ridiculously better movie than what this was. It's far beyond this. This is very bad. This is just a very lazy attempt at a sequel. You can obviously tell that, you know, they just paid him a sack ton of money because they wanted to make this a franchise due to the fact that Agatha Christie has a series of books on this, but I don't think they should be making any more sequels after this one. This is more than likely the last one, so let's hope it is. Let's hope for the best. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Guys, look, like, subscribe, comment down below. Go watch some of my other videos, Moonfall, Power Review, Peacemaker Review. I got some good stuff coming out. I got some good content out already, guys. Thank you so much for the support. More content coming your way soon. Thank you.